fucking see you guys.
You got more tea there too, by the way.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alright. I think this should be fine. Even if it does peak out, that's stuff I can fix. It'll be alright.
Let's get this conversation started. What should we talk about?
I don't know.
I'm gonna get some water.
That's a good idea. Mark, in your spare time, you have been making a lot of music.
Yeah.
And Nick has been working on his graphic novel for quite some time. And Adam's been working on recording audiobooks. Which you're shaking your head and stuff. It's like you also work on a graphic novel with your brother.
Yeah, I do all sorts of things that never go anywhere.
Well, I mean, but that's a good point of conversation right there. Like, as an artist, like we're always starting projects and then maybe not following through, and there's the odd one that we actually do follow through on. And I don't know. I think it's worth talking about a little bit because I don't know. I always feel like when I start on a project and like let's say I get a little tired of working on it, I'm afraid that if I stop working on it, I'll never come back to it.
Mm-hmm. It's a very real concern.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is pretty accurate.
But then there's always the thought like, is that just me or do other people go through that? You know,
no, it's not just you.
I think maybe that's just my own personal problem of thinking. I always have to remind myself that I'm not the only actual human being.
Yeah. Well, and you...
like not as bad as it was like when you're a little kid, but like as an adult, I sometimes forget that there's more to people than just the surface level. You know.
Yeah.
I feel like creative types in general are more prone to just like flights of fancy where that kind of stuff is concerned, because like almost everybody I know has all these ideas for things they want to do, but then the next week there's a new idea, right? And it's like, you know, you only have so much time in a day, and so I don't know.
And so much energy too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's a very specific point where I'm at like the zenith of my work energy for the day, and that's like just after I eat lunch. That's when I do like my best work, and that's when I work for 2 hours on Red, and then I stop usually because my hands started irritating me or something. But also that's usually how long I can work before my brain gets tired of focusing on it.
Yeah. And that's another thing is like, you know, I work on 3D art at work all day, and then to come home after work and continue to do art is sometimes difficult.
It's easy to do like different stuff if I'm doing like music.
Yeah,
and
right.
I also like kind of section myself out where I'm just like, as long as I'm doing this for an hour every day when I get home, it's like it doesn't matter if I'm successful or not. If I just do that every day, eventually something will happen. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, the consistency is really important.
Yeah, because if I stop for like a week, it's like hard. It's also if I just do it when I feel it, then I just will never feel it, and I'll always be like, I'd just rather play games and just like sit around.
Yeah, right,
drinking
exactly.
and stuff.
But the danger of just sectioning it off and making sure you do it every day is that, I guess it's not really a danger. It's just like some days, if you're not into it, you're not going to get anything of value out of that day.
That's not really true, because there's a lot of days where I go home and I'm like feeling shitty. I'm like, I'm not gonna get anything done. I just kind of like sit there and don't do anything, and then the last like 5 minutes is just like all of a sudden it's like, oh, something clicked together. It's just like, I feel like you can always like, you get those moments you can always just like kind of like force your way through them just by like at least like being like still focused on either like doing nothing or doing that thing, just like laying in bed and like just thinking about it, or like I don't know.
Yeah.
There's almost every day on Red, I think. Well, today I'm probably just gonna go home early, and every day I always stay, and I always end up working on it longer than I thought I was going to.
Yeah. I am sometimes worried about, like, because I would do that on homework and stuff all the time, you know, at DigiPen. It's like, okay, well, I have to get this assignment done, so I'll just keep working on it. But by the end of it, you're just burned out on it, and you don't want to do it anymore. It's like, what? Feel like that's kind of lowers your passion for it a little bit if you treat it like a job.
Well, there's also the flip side of that too, where it's like you've got a hard deadline on something that you need to make, and this is like more of a school thing than personal projects, but you know you have to have something done in like an hour or 2 hours, and it's not done yet, and then you're like, well, I'll finish it, and then you sit down, and even though you could finish it and turn it in within a few minutes, you end up spending like the entire length of time just agonizing over dumb like stuff that doesn't need to be worried about, like it's not like that color's not quite right, or the shadow's not quite correct, or
I find that after I've been working for a long time, that's when that starts to happen, and I start looking at it and over critiquing it, and that's usually when my cue to myself that I'm done working on it, like for the day, and usually when I look at it the next day, I don't even see whatever I had a problem with the other day.
Yeah, I was talking to Adam about that phenomenon with like 3D modeling, where it's like you realize you need to step away and take a break when you've been like staring at the model and just rotating it for like the last 15 minutes and not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's also, there's the limit of like, if you're doing something for an hour or two, you can always get more. But if you're doing like 8 hours a day, it's like there's gonna be like 5 hours in, and you just don't have any energy to do anymore, and you're just like, I'll just like keep looking like something.
Yeah,
like,
well, and like there's a tendency with art, at least for me, where it's like you kind of lose perspective on it the longer you work on it, right? Where it's like, sometimes I'll come back the next day and be like, how did I not see that this needed to be changed? Or, like, sometimes, especially I find that happens a lot when I'm lighting a scene, where it's like, eventually it'll all just kind of start to lose focus in my mind of like.
That's why I totally just break things into like little tiny steps.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'll just check these off like every 2 minutes. I'm doing like all of these little things.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I'm just gonna focus on like tweaking this thing for 2 hours. Oh shit, that was all my time.
Yeah. It turns out you come back to it and you're like, I shouldn't have done it that way anyway.
Oh god, yeah. You spend all this time on something, and then you realize after you've walked away from it that like there's a much easier way you could have done it if you had just done it from the beginning.
Yeah.
That's what usually happens when you lose work, and then you're just like, oh, this is way quicker if I had just done it like this.
That was like this past month when my hard drive crashed. I had a moment where it's like, well, crap, now I need to make everything over again. But it was actually easier the second time around because all the important design decisions had been made already, so I just had to make it again.
And it turned out better too.
Yeah, I ended up being able to spend extra time thinking about ways of making what I had already made better. And that was pretty cool. Like, after you get over the initial feel of defeat.
Yeah, like as far as I'm concerned, it's definitely a benefit to be able to kind of do it better and faster, but losing work is still the worst feeling in the whole entire world.
But it's so easy nowadays to not have to lose stuff. You just back stuff up so easily.
Well, and usually when I lose work, it's because I forgot to save for a while, and then I did something stupid in Maya, and it's just brain freezes and crashes.
But it's like even that, most programs have like incremental saves or auto saves in the back, or like crash files are getting better, and like luckily it seems like that's not as much of a problem.
At this point, when I'm working on a computer and there's any sort of creative software I'm using that doesn't just auto backup if that's not even a feature that's a part of the program, I feel like that's so outdated and dumb.
Yeah. Like Ableton has like crazy bad, like you just like your whole thing crashes, you never saved, and it's like stored everything in memory.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We've gotten really good at keeping people from losing information. You're right, backing up is so easy now. Yep.
And it's like we were talking about with online backups too. Chrome or not Chrome, Drive and Dropbox, where it's like, even if your hard drive crashes, you're safe. So it's literally impossible to lose work unless like all their servers go down.
Or an EMP goes off.
Yeah.
And fries the whole electronics network.
Everything's bad.
That's why I store all of my work on a single flash drive, so that it's just that one precious thing.
Right, you keep it in like 3 different locks.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about you have some of those old movies
the Edge, The Risk.
There was the movie I think it was The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari or something obscure like that, where they thought all prints of the movie were lost.
Oh,
and then they just found this high quality frame by frame printout of all of the frames of the movie that were done as a backup on paper in some closet somewhere.
Wow.
It was like way nicer than any of the existing reels of the film they had.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, at the end of the day, having hard copies of stuff is nice.
Yeah. Or like there was that story about Pixar. I don't know if you've heard that.
Oh, the Toy Story 2 thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Where it's like one of the employees just had the whole movie backed up on her own computer, and if not, all of the work on Toy Story 2, which at that point was a significant amount, would have been lost.
The film was like 90% complete or something ridiculous like
Yeah.
that. And it just so happened that one of the employees was pregnant and wanted to continue working while she was at home. And so they were like, she was downloading a copy of the current builds of the movie.
I thought that was going to be a totally unrelated detail that she was pregnant. One of the employees happened to be pregnant and backed up the entire...
That's a hormonal thing.
Her maternal instincts kicked in.
She was also a huge fan of chili cook-offs. You know?
Yeah. Also, she woke up feeling really good that day. As well, and in the appendices for the Lord of the Rings, one of the visual effects guys is talking about how he had just finished like in a big scene, and the cheapest hard drives at the time were iPods, and so he had like a 250 gig iPod just in his front pocket, walking in New Zealand between their studios, and a guy started walking behind him, and iPod thefts were a huge deal back then, and the guy saw his iPod, he thought, and so he was afraid that that guy was trying to steal it from him, so he just like clutched it and ran, because it was like all their work for the past month was stored on it.
Yeah, that'd be scary. Because with an iPod, it's usually like if you lose it, the real thing that sucks is just buying another one because you still have all the music somewhere else.
Not always.
Yeah.
I lost an iPod in Oakland, and I didn't realize until later. I was like just throwing it around, like leaving it in my car, and then I realized later I was like, oh, there's a bunch of bands on there that I downloaded that I don't even know the names of anymore. Like, I can't find them again. It kills me.
I had some of that too. There was like I had a bunch of music that I got off of these free music services and like top charts at the time for like these free distributable whatevers. And after one of my hard drives failed, or I'd done an overzealous reformat, I just couldn't find it anywhere. It's like some of that was like music that I listened to every day.
Yeah.
And
That's why I'm glad everything's just like kind of cloud based. You can just it's always stored somewhere at least.
but you don't know what else they're storing. Like how often you click on something.
And how often you go to the bathroom. They're keeping track of that stuff. They're going to sell you suppositories or something.
What's the status of cloud-based games? Because I know people were talking about it a few years ago, like it was the next big wave of the future.
Oh, you mean like streaming gameplay?
Yeah.
So there are services. Oh, actually, Sony, the PS4. That's how they're doing some of the. If I could be completely wrong about this, but I remember hearing that some of the gameplay that they're doing for like emulated PS2 games and PS1 games is actually being streamed on their system. At least temporarily.
From an actual PS2 located at Sony.
They just got an array of them.
They have someone out there like changing discs and stuff.
They actually just have. They have like.
There's an
they have
operator
really
that's-
nice. They have really nice, expensive cameras just facing old, shitty CRT monitors.
Yeah.
Well, and like that might actually be a valuable thing because I know for a fact that some games, I know there were a few games on the N64 where Nintendo was like, yeah, we could never do this on the Virtual Console because something about the way that they were built, like, makes emulation virtually impossible.
It's probably part of the reason why N64 emulators still really suck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I've heard that.
That because the N64 architecture was based off of some Silicon Graphics supercomputers, and those things were like great for what they were, but terrible for developing on. Like they were great at processing information, but you're essentially trying to build like a 1990s supercomputer virtual machine when you're trying to build an emulator, and just it's awful.
Also can't just stand with like emulators or like even the HD stuff they do, how it's just like the thing that people are kind of forgetting about is the fact that all these are made for like certain types of inputs or TV qualities.
Oh, yeah, like CRT TVs.
And they like
with,
throw a game on these and you can just see where it's like the flat and then the geo starts and it's all like
and there's like seams everywhere. And
like I know
everything's
there's
super
old games that they
crisp
used to
and
like kind of abuse how the how many pixels were on the screen to like kind of create like water effects or like different things, because it'd be like pixels popping in and out because they wouldn't take up enough of that like pixel slot. And you just like turn on, it's like, why is there this like weird like wash of colors over everything?
Yeah, so I wonder if there's eventually going to be like a technology to counter that. Like they do small, like on other levels, like for instance the Mega Man collections that they had like the screen flicker and like all of the stuff remade to, you know.
There was a streamer who's doing a lot of like vintage game playback, and he just raised money to buy a thing that's like a box that has all these inputs on the back for all the old consoles, and it outputs an HD signal, but the point of it is to counter that sort of stuff and to make it look like the original graphics.
Oh, so it's going onto an HD TV, but as if it was through like component cables or something?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's, you know, like a $300 box that that has basically an HD out for all of your old video games.
I mean, it's a shame that it's harder to find old CRT televisions and monitors that have video out on them, because like in most people's
I got
mind,
2 of them. You want them?
like they have video out because people look for those. Like people who do like
S-video?
no, like just straight up like you can have the video game system plugged into the TV, and then you can like just have video out that would like output whatever was on the screen into something else. People who do like live streaming and stuff like that, or have YouTube channels, like they want things like that, but they're super hard to come by.
I would be surprised if the 2 in my garage don't have that.
And believe it or not, you know, all TV companies really didn't think there'd be much use for that sort of feature.
Well, I mean,
or you know, it was an easy way of stopping piracy.
Yeah, it's like at that point you're like, you know, it's not helping you sell the TV now, really, because people didn't really have a use for it back when they were selling.
I guess the reason that makes me think that is because I'm always shocked how many old TVs and monitors, and even like relatively recent ones, still have the serial video port. It's like I've never ever seen anyone use that. Like I have a serial video cable that I used just to try it once, but they all have it. Like I never understood what that. Like I think even this does. That flat panel, flat screen TV has an S-video out.
I mean, I guess that'd be the same reason that like projectors all still have the VGA port. Like, just because it costs nothing to keep it on there, and it makes sure that someone who might have ancient equipment it's not a reason to not buy your device.
I think my problem now is that like my main TV only has like VGA and like component stuff, so it's like I just can't use my PS4 on it because there's no way of converting the HDMI to the VGA from PS. Like there's it's getting to the point where you just can't use things that don't have HDMI anymore. It's getting really frustrating.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, that's right. I was trying to switch over graphics cards in my computer recently, and I realized the one that was putting my computer didn't have a regular HDMI port. It has like a mini HDMI port. And so I was like, I don't just have like mini HDMI cables laying around. So I had to plug in an adapter into the DVI port that allowed an HDMI cable to plug in, which thank God I just happened to have that laying around.
That cable's like $1 on Amazon.
Yeah, but I didn't have time to wait. How am I going to order that? I don't got. How am I
going to order it? I can't see my monitor. You're going to have to go just guessing. I think I'd open the browser now.
Let's go to that Amazon HQ in Seattle. Hey guys, you happen to have any of these?
Yeah, stage a break-in at one of the Amazon warehouses looking for a mini HDMI cable. Rather than going to Best Buy, we're going this route.
I suppose at this point we should probably say who we are.
That might be
useful. I'll start. We'll go counterclockwise or clockwise. Yeah. I'm John Gardner, and I'm the host of this nonsense. And games.
I'm Adam Chandler. I was on another episode of this, so you may recognize me. I am a 3D environment artist here in Bellevue, or there in Bellevue. We're in Tacoma right now.
And I'm Nicholas Rubatino. and this is my first appearance on this show. Glad to be here.
I'm Mark Sheppard. I work down in California as an environment artist.
For
Telltale.
nice.
I don't know if we're allowed to say that though.
It's all secret now.
We're gonna get him fired because Telltale's like, what? You don't know who works here.
Mark Sheppard has a voice.
The Californians.
Yeah. I'm being vague about it. I want y'all to know who I am.
One of the many Californias in this fine country.
Yep.
Which, California or Baja California? Mexican California or United States California?
Fuck.
Speaking of swords, I've been looking at. I've seen a few medieval like combat manuals with these sorts of knightly swords that I am now holding.
For those at home, Nick Rubatino is playing with a wooden sword.
For those at home, I am now wielding a wooden sword I made as a gift to John for Christmas to celebrate Jesus' birth. But a lot of them are like holding it by the handle, and whatever guy's attacking like this, there's a surprising number of them where they're attacking like this, like they're holding onto the blade and attacking with the crossguard, like a hammer or the pommel. It's pretty weird.
Well, that is the heaviest part of the sword.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose it makes sense, especially with those medieval swords, because they weren't sharp. They were just...
Well, I imagine, though, if you're, like, clutching it and, like, hitting things, it could probably bite into your hands pretty good.
You just swing and hit it, and your fingers get lopped off.
It's worth it.
Would you be intimidated by an army wielding swords like this?
Guys, I think we're going to win this war.
Yeah, I think we got a good chance here.
Either
And
that
then
or
at the
we're
last
fighting
second, they switch to the handle and it freaks everyone out. It's like the guy playing pool left-handed and losing, and then he switched to right-handed and wins. And wins all of the money.
At that point, I would be worried that I'm fighting an army of robots. Metal people.
Man, your prejudice against the metal people is just not going to take you far in life.
I gotta say, there's something I don't trust about them. I mean...
Maybe it's their cold, dead eyes.
They say they're gonna bring us into an age of prosperity and unrivaled wealth, but, I mean, does everyone believe that? I don't know.
I mean, do you guys believe that? Because I'm having trouble.
You know, that brings up a very important question. Like, you have IBM's computer, Watson's being trained to know all these things about medical history and all that. We're just telling the machines how we work, and getting really good at like taking us apart and putting us back together.
Pretty soon they'll be making their own humans.
Just like Skynet.
Well, that's okay.
Can you imagine the competition between the natural-born humans and the robot-created humans?
That's okay. I'm sure the robot-created humans will have some exploit that we can take advantage of.
They'll work at McDonald's and not care about it.
Up until they
Really, they'll just be a people more at peace with life than normal humans.
This is fine. This is good.
Pretty good, huh? It's Big Boss. You're pretty good. Oh man, I was watching a guy stream that, and he heavily employed the inflatable big bosses. That was his main tactic in Phantom Pain. And have you seen those?
No.
Oh, okay. So as one of your equipment items, you can hurl a disc into a room, and it goes poof, and it's an inflatable big boss, and it just keeps repeating, "Didn't expect me, huh? You're pretty good. You're pretty good." And it just repeats it over and over again. But so this guy, I was watching him stream. He has to clear a room of like 4 hostiles gathered around a hostage, and they're about to execute him. He gets to the edge of the door, tosses one of those in, it explodes, and it knocks everyone in the room unconscious, and then it's just Big Boss going, "You're pretty good."
The only one left standing.
Yeah.
Some of the items in that game are ridiculous. I was watching somebody play it, and they had literally a warp in space-time or something that would like
Really?
suck people into it. Yeah, I was like, I don't remember this side of Metal Gear Solid.
It's yeah.
It's starting to sound less and less like a Metal Gear game.
Yeah.
Well, you have a bionic fist that you can upgrade to be like Rocket Fist, and he goes Rocket Punch and fires it off like for real.
You started saying that like you were gonna say that as if no, it's totally like all the old Metal Gears, and then you just
yeah, like in Metal Gear 1, you know. And Snake had a rocket foot and fired it off to kill Sniper Wolf.
Or like the original Metal Gear, you know.
But so that same guy I was watching, it's a tracking camera that follows the fist when you fire it off, and he was trying to like loop it all the way back around and hit himself in the back. So, but he does that and goes Rocket Punch, and it's this long looping thing. But in the time it took him to turn the fist around and bring it back around, someone on the base had come up and gone, "Boss, I just want to thank you for bringing me to the base." He just gets hit from behind with the fist.
Rocket Punch!
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. The best part of that game is just the random stuff you do at the base to harass your troops that you've recruited, that you've kidnapped out of the field of battle and recruited.
Whether they wanted it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just a villain.
You pretty much are. You can't really do anything good. Well, at least all of the good things you can do aren't fun.
That's the real struggle with games, though, isn't it? Like, when you have a fairly open game, taking the righteous path is usually the most boring path.
Yeah.
But it's still the thing most people do.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, it depends. Like, if we're talking about, like, GTA, like, 99% of people who play that aren't going to drive in traffic and, like, not punch people when they come by.
Well, the thing is with that game, if you try to, you realize that the systems that they've built for it break down.
Yeah.
Like, the vehicles look like they're obeying traffic laws until you start to try to obey traffic laws, and then you realize that they're just, like, all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, they don't stop at lights properly, or they'll just start running into each other, or you'll have like a cop car getting real pissed off and like just kind of like rear-ending our vehicle that's not moving.
Like that video of Just Cause where the guy just literally walked into the street
And stood there. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
And then just it turns into chaos around him.
It's like it ends up with a 15-car pileup and everyone's shooting at each other.
Like, it's a game where they build the idea of freedom, but like they are assuming that you're going to do something.
Or leave.
That's
before
definitely a game
gas
that if you
runs.
look too close at it, it's not really. It only works when things are blowing up and people are like ragdolling, but like the people walking around, there's like the AI is so weird of like what the actual actions are.
Are you talking about GTA or Just Cause?
Just Cause.
That I love.
I guess GTA has some of that. GTA is a little bit better about making it look like a real world, where it's like. Just Cause is like, oh, these people are all just like standing around or walking in circles in the city. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't even trying. You can't go in any of the buildings, so they're just walking circles around the town.
It's like a really weird version of the Truman Show. Whoever had the initial idea of having a game where you're just a guy who has an infinite number of grappling hooks, and they just
It's great for mobility.
let's just put some physics on some objects, and grapple hooks are around, and
Feels like
go.
something that started out as a mod of some game, and then it was like, oh, let's just make this the whole game.
Yeah.
This is more fun.
Well, I think as the series went on, they kind of decided, oh, okay, this is the space that our game fits into. Because, like, I remember playing the original Just Cause, and it felt just kind of like a GTA clone on an island. Like there was nothing really that special about it. And then as 2 came out and they added the grappling hook stuff, they kind of realized, oh wait, this is how we're going to distinguish this game. It's kind of like Saints Row did the same thing.
Yeah.
Where like by the time 4 came out, they're just like dildos everywhere and crazy funny stuff. Like
there was a moment in Just Cause 2 where it's like this is a moment where this is what the game is all about. Where like I had climbed my way up in, like I had jumped out of an airplane and parachuted into a mountain enemy base. And I just shooting at people from my parachute and then blowing up the entire place. And then a helicopter was taking off and I grappled onto it and I got in there and pulled the guy out and flew over to like this flying sky yacht thing.
Oh, I know the thing you're
just
talking
crashed
about.
right
Yeah.
into it. And, like,
The big like party blimp
yeah,
or whatever
there's
it was.
just a moment where you're like,
This has been a good day.
yeah,
Yeah.
like,
I got a lot done today. And it was all in the last 10 minutes.
right. Well, and that's kind of important too, because like you got a game like that where like you can wreak so much havoc and do all that stuff, and it's been like 10 minutes. And then you have a game like Elder Scrolls where it's like you go into a cave and you explore it, and then you get out, and then you realize it's been like 3 hours.
Yeah, it's hard for me to get into Fallout. I only played like 6 hours because it was like, I'm used to like Destiny or these games that have these really quick like cycles of like you're playing for 15 or 30 minutes and you're getting a lot of stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
Then you play Fallout and I lost like 3 hours and it felt like I hadn't done anything, and I was just like, oh, this is weird now.
Kind of wandered around a
I
wasteland.
can't do this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Bethesda's like, no, you need to sit down. This is your day.
Yeah,
This is your day.
You live in this world now.
Your life has now transferred to the computer.
I have a bunch of friends who play that, and they just like every time we get together, they just kind of will show off their settlements that they've built, and it seems like most of the people I know are using that game as like a city builder. Almost.
Yeah.
It just has out other things outside of it.
I haven't played it yet, but I like seeing people get all ticked off because they like have settlers who show up in their village and they just like take your bed or whatever. Like they'll take your bed. It's like, no, this isn't your room. This is my room. It's like,
Now you die, Jeff.
Poor
You
Jeff.
done fucked up.
He slept in the wrong bed. Lay your head on that pillow. It's not coming off.
Yeah, I've always, I may have talked with you about this before, but I've always had a reason not to play Fallout. I've never played any of the games because, like, when the third one came out, I was in school and didn't want to get distracted, and then New Vegas, I was busy with, trying to find work and stuff. And so now it's like I don't really have a good excuse not to play the fourth one, other than I don't want to sink, 150 hours of my life into a game right now. Like, because everything Bethesda makes is kind of more along those lines now.
yeah. I'm actually between games right now. I don't have anything that's any sort of like outlet that's taking up my spare time. Like at this point, it's like I'm just watching like Jessica Jones on Netflix and Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the Xbox in our house is 90%
Star Trek.
Jessica Jones.
Star Trek, yeah. Like, it's rare that we use it for games.
What can I say? I like strong female leads.
Yeah, I think I'm mainly just playing Destiny nowadays. I get back into Bloodborne every once in a while, but Destiny's just like, I was always big into Halo, and so it's just like this perfect thing where you can just play forever, and there's always all these things to level up
Yeah.
and do. There's like a million things to...
And the Destiny's one of those games with very divided people, because there's some people that's just like, it's so repetitive and boring. But
Well, I heard some people talking about this on a podcast. That it's a lot. You can like look at the hate as kind of people who've played that game for some, like the average playtime for like people who play it is like in the hundreds. Like 500 is like not a lot of hours. Really. Like,
Really?
Like I probably have like up to 700 now. I
Holy
play like
cow.
somewhat casually. I just played from day one.
yeah.
And it's like any game you play for like 700 hours, you're not like, the fact that you're playing it that much means it's like
Yeah, it's a
objectively
good
it's a good
game.
game.
Yeah,
But
uh-huh.
like also you're gonna find things to pick apart, and you're gonna find things that you want improved if you're playing that long. It'd be weird if you played for that long. We're like,
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Still perfect.
With the amount of people playing it for that much, there's always gonna be like broken stuff and things that people want to change.
The only game I've
more
heard,
content.
like really talked about as being a perfect game that people put thousands of hours into is FTL.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
heard about that.
Widely regarded as just being like a very flawless game.
Which is funny because like that's a game that like the first time you start playing it, it's like, oh, this is fine. Then you get wrecked really
Yeah.
quickly.
It stressed me out too much. I couldn't.
And that's the moment. Like after your first crew dies, that's the moment you have to decide: do I like this game enough to continue
Yeah.
on? And like, oh, I get what this game's about now.
Yeah.
And then like you just got to make that hard decision. Like for me, it's like I start playing it. It's like I like this game, and then I lose my crew, and then I'm like, fuck this game. I'm done. I'm gonna go back playing Zelda.
I feel like I'm just all about games with upgrade systems. Like there was this weird Flash game that I played back in the day. There was it was called something like it was just called like Upgrade or something like that. It's literally like the whole game is you buying upgrades, like upgrading the graphics and the UI and like.
Oh wait, are you talking
and,
about?
Eventually, you just like play and you're just like wiping the whole screen off and like there's like glitter and like sound effects everywhere. And,
I think I know the game you're talking about.
And it was just like giving you like it was basically breaking down that to like the most basic level of like people just like when you buy things and then new stuff is happening.
Yeah.
I played through that game multiple times. I was like, this is just rewarding. I don't know what it's doing to my brain, but I like it.
That was like, there was another Flash game. It was just called like Achievement Hunter or something like that, or Achievements.
Yeah.
And like there was just a list, and there's all like question marks, and you have no idea what they are. And you're just a character on a screen, and there's stuff moving around platforms. And the moment you move your character, it's like achievement unlocked. You move your character, and then it's like, and then you realize it's like 200 achievements, and it's like okay, I need to figure out what each one of these is, and it feels so good. Like you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
But like it's
just every little thing you do. My friend was showing me this Steam game while I was back home. There's a sequel coming out. I can't remember what it was called, but
Halo.
it was, huh?
I don't know, a game that has a sequel coming out.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. All I know is that when it starts out, it's like very basic graphics, and you're just like, the simple character, and as you play through the game, you like adds color and adds game mechanics, and then you're playing like an RPG, and like it's like you unlocked NPCs, and NPCs appear in the town.
Is that like an RPG game?
It's kind of is. Yeah, I only saw the first.
I played one that was like it started as a 2D RPG, and as you get further into it, like it goes into a 3D RPG.
I think that might have been the game.
More
yeah.
menus. It kind of takes it from like NES up to like current gen RPGs just through upgrading it slowly.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the game was called, but it's very interesting.
I haven't played through like a legit RPG in a really long time.
Lisa, it's time.
No, I keep meaning to. Like I was trying to wait to have this recording session with you until I played Lisa.
Yeah.
And then we were going to play Overwatch. Or
Overwatch?
not Overwatch. What's Undertale?
Oh,
I started that. It's a really fun game.
And the thing is, like, I want to know nothing about Undertale, and it's gotten real hard to avoid anything.
Yeah.
Well, that's what everybody says. Like, I haven't played it either, but everybody's like, yeah, don't let anybody tell you anything about this game before you play it.
But yeah, that was something I really wanted to do. Like, Nick has played through Lisa a couple times now, haven't you?
Yeah.
I've even heard of this game. What is it?
The Painful RPG.
Lisa is a game that's it's in the style of like the Earthbound games, or the Mother series, depending on what you prefer to call it.
See, and I've seen a lot of people play Undertale and then be told to play Lisa if they like Undertale, and I feel like that's a huge mistake because it's nowhere near as polished. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, the game was made in was it made in Game Maker or RPG Maker?
Lisa was made in RPG Maker. Undertale was made in Game Maker.
Yeah, so Undertale was made in Game Maker, Lisa was made in RPG Maker, and the whole premise behind Lisa is you're in this society that has crumbled, and there's like no women left. It's all dudes.
Yeah.
And then you find a baby girl. Like the main character finds a baby girl and raises her, and then she gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
And your character is a guy who's like depressed and had a really crappy childhood where he's bullied by everyone, even like his dad. And he's addicted to a drug. And you have to keep taking the drug, otherwise your character's stats like crumble and suck. But also the more you take the drug, the more addicted you get to it, and it's like it's pretty cool. Like it's an awesome game. And I really want to play more of it. I just haven't had time to. And I guess when I'm trying to find a game to play, I don't think about it.
Are we releasing Resident Evil 0?
Yep, with new costumes.
Capcom, we run out of ideas.
Yep.
Seriously, what happened to that company? Capcom used to be the company you could count on to have like really cool games.
Yeah, Konami's went the same way. Or they fell even harder. Or like all they do is pachinko stuff now.
Yeah.
Well, it's because with Konami, that's where most of their money's coming from. And it's where most of the money's always kind of come from.
Has it been?
It's for a long time at least. I saw the breakdown of the numbers. Like once I don't remember exactly when they started it or which one came first, but like games has always been like a side thing for them. It's just like the thing that I guess this whole community knows more about.
Yeah, right.
This was my...
For those that...
Yeah. Well, it seems like, I have barely any like real commitments in my free time, and I still feel like, man, there's not enough time for me to do what I want.
Well, that,
You
that
made
was,
it fall still.
that was something that Jerry Holkins of Penny Arcade was talking about. He's like, people who don't have kids, they have no idea how much time they actually have.
Yeah.
Like after you have children, you realize there are so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
And it was like there's all this time that
It's
you
just
thought.
all like planning and scheduling stuff
Mhm.
out.
Yeah.
I think when you realize that time is at a premium.
That's when it's all gone and you're dead.
Well, no, that's when it really does help to like be able to plan out and schedule out your day. And it's like Brant was talking a lot about how problematic it's been, where he was like he had his teaching job and he was working full time at a game studio, and he's recently married and he's got to make sure that he gets all these things done. He's also working on all these side projects for people in contract work and like time. Oh, and trying to have a band. Like time is suddenly at a very harsh premium, and he started talking about how he referred to it as a better thermos problem, where it's like we create these really good thermoses to keep our coffee hot, but then our problem becomes like, oh, I want to drink my coffee now, but it's still too hot to drink because my thermos is doing too good of a job.
Or now I want cold coffee because it's summer.
Oh, that's why you just like limit what you're doing. Because right now I just like do work 8 hours a day, and I do 1 hour music every day, and then I just go and drink and have fun and stuff. And so it's like that's my things. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you just like section it out to like a few things and like have a schedule for it, then it becomes pretty easy to manage.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's
I guess
the
it
way
takes
I
a lot of
felt.
time to figure out. Like, it took me like I did music for like how long before I figured out to do like an hour a day, and then I just started like clicking.
How long have you been doing an hour a day?
This year I started in January.
Oh,
So I
okay.
was like kind of like I need to actually like do this because I've been like buying equipment and like messing around when I felt like it, which
Yeah.
turned out to be like once a month at best.
Yeah.
It was usually like 3 things a year, and most of them they're all just garbage. And so I was just like doing an hour a day, and I was like, well, eventually this will just click.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know, I kind of go nuts on like schedules and planning things. I'm like, I'll do an hour a day and like do it every 2 months I release a thing. And so for the first like 3/4 of it, I'm just like doing an hour a day, and I'm starting from scratch each time, and then I like collect those and like polish them up and then release it. And so I just have this like machine that I've kind of created for doing it. And now it's just like that's running, and I'm like, oh shit, what do I do now with it? And I'm just like got this thing that works that just pumps out like kind of all right quality stuff like really quickly, but I'm not really like I don't know where to go with it from that. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, may just end up forming itself into something.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in a way you can kind of treat that like those are your music sketches,
Yeah.
and they might lead to some alternative direction that you didn't even think you could go in.
I don't know, like I want to do games for like music for games or like indie movie or like stuff like that, like little like tiny projects, but it's like the getting into that stuff is so like everyone wants to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
but I mean, if you're actually working on it, if you're actually
Yeah.
making a,
It's just the thing, it's like it's easy to make a thing, but it's hard to like once you have to like rely on other people or like start working with other people, that becomes like the whole other dynamic. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you're just making things for yourself and being like, oh, I put this out and then you share it, it's like, oh, it relies on me, I just do it and then I put it out there. But if you're like, I have to find someone who like needs this thing from me and then we'll like work together well and actually like wants the same thing I want out of it, it's like
Then it becomes
so many
a
more
major
dynamics and
project. Yeah. That's the same way with games, like with indie games.
you can't
Well-
just push things back. It's just like people's schedules
Yeah.
are relying on it.
That being said, when you're working on a team and it is actually a working team, it's kind of like a weird magic. Like
Yeah.
I had Tyler Woods making music for me for a while when I was working on some game projects, and I would just say, hey, I need a song that sounds like this, and then like later there would be a song that existed,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like some kind of crazy voodoo. It's like I needed something that sounded like a Soviet Russian shipyard kind of ditty, like something that would make you like bring those images to your mind. And then like a day later, he'd come at me with an MP3, and it's like,
yeah.
like
Speaking of which, Evan contacted me recently to do artwork for their band, The Lion in Winter.
oh yeah,
And I just did a few sketches just of And I also came up with an alternative name for them, El Tigris and Christmas. Yeah, I was just like messing around, like, and sent it off to him because I don't usually do commissioned work because I feel like most of the time people don't like the stuff that I've come up with for them, or they have another idea in their head that they weren't able to communicate when we were in the like planning stage of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Evan was like super stoked just with these few sketches. Like I was surprised. I was expecting him to say, "Oh yeah, this and this are good. Try doing some more stuff based on that." But he was just like, "Yo man, it's awesome. How much do I owe you?" And I was like, "It's just like 2 hours of sketching you can have."
I think that's like I've been doing a lot of contract work for like Success over the past couple of years, right?
Yeah.
And I had to figure out like there are moments where it's like you make something and then they like, oh, this is perfect, this is great.
Yeah.
And then like later in the day they're like, oh, actually, can you do this?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, no problem. And then or like someone will want you to make. My brother had wanted to make some album art for him recently, and he showed me this picture of a stuffed elephant. And he's like, I want this sitting on a chair with like a yellow bubble around it. And I'm like, all right. So I started doing some sketches because I was trying to figure out what he was imagining. Mm-hmm. And like it's weird when you're doing stuff by yourself. You might skip like the thumbnailing process, or you might skip some exploration.
Yeah.
But when you're making something for someone else, it becomes really important to like show them sketches so they can so you can figure out
to hone in on the
what it was that they were imagining.
Yeah.
That's always it's always weird because you never actually know what it was that they were thinking of until they point at the picture like, oh, that was it, that was the one. I agree with what Mark was saying earlier though about like you got to build like scheduling. Like maybe you don't have to be. I doubt I'm as hardcore about scheduling as you are.
It was different with different people.
I'm just easily distracted. Like I'll form a plan and then I'll come home and just be like, oh, Star Trek, or like just like that's kind of a hazard of living with other people too. Is that like everybody's got a different schedule and there's a good chance somebody's going to be doing something that would be fun to do, and so
It's just a nice thing to have control over, like an area where you can just like do your own thing.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, if I really wanted to, I'd shut myself up in my room, and sometimes I do. And just you gotta work out a schedule that works for you, but in a way that you can be consistent at.
I can guarantee that I will at least be able to look at or work on my show for like an hour a day. Mm-hmm. And it's not every day. It's more like 5 days a week. So it's like, and even just keeping consistent on that, if I'm just spending 5 hours a week working on something, like that makes me feel good.
Yeah. And like over the years, I've kind of come to look at side projects as more of just a therapeutic thing rather than a real project that has an end goal. Because like, if I think about it like that, then I tend to kind of get distressed about how little I'm actually doing on it, and like I should enjoy the time I spend doing it. I shouldn't be stressed out about it all the time.
Yeah, that's why I feel really fortunate for being able to work on Red as long as I have, because it would have been a thing that would have been a side project if I didn't like commit to wanting to spend all of my time on it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And I definitely felt like I would have been really unhappy doing that because it was something that I really wanted to spend time doing.
So
and build into.
When you're developing a project, at what point do you have to step back and say that it's finished? Like, at what point do you realize that? Like, do you have any sort of internal...
Yeah, I actually have a really strong sense of that. Like, I almost never feel like I work on something too long. Because I'm always anxious to get into the next part. Not anxious, but I'm always eager to start moving into the next area. Like, even now, I'm on the last chapter read, and I'm already... Like, I got 3 projects that I'm looking at pursuing next. But like, even just page by page, I'm like, I get a page done about after 2 days of working on it generally, and I'm usually fine looking at that and saying, yeah, I'm ready to move on. Like, I want to get to the next page. So,
Right, well, and the way you created it was like you had it kind of planned out from the beginning. So there is kind of defined endpoint, whereas like with something like Marks and Music, it might just be more like, work on it until it sounds good and there's no like really defined,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just have to cut myself off, or else you just work on it until you hate it. And then
Yeah.
don't want to like listen to it anymore. I'm like, oh, I'll just start something new. Cause I don't,
Yeah. Just get it out there.
I ran into a problem recently where I had finished doing the new fly-in for the intro to my show, and I finished it and I put it all together, and then I didn't know what else to work on, so I just kept opening up the project and like looking at it and just thinking like what else does it need? Does it need anything? Can I take away? Can I add? And like I just started dicking around in there, and like I'm like, what am I doing? I'm not working. I'm not being productive. I just made like a giant lantern in there and adjusted the lights for no reason. Like, what am I doing? I need to move forward. I'm really bad about that. Like, I know that there are always things that can be changed, so I spend too much time worrying about it. All right, so I think I'm gonna close out the show now.
I think you can hack something together from that, maybe.
I think so. This has been episode 2 of The Conversation. If you like this or you want to see other things we've made, check out gggames.org, where I make videos every week.
This is Nicholas signing off.
Adam, goodbye.
Hey, it's Mark. Bye-bye.
Close enough. Thank you for listening to The Conversation. If you like this, please consider subscribing to Games. Also, if there's a person or topic you'd like to see covered in The Conversation, shoot me a tweet or leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.